Welcome to another episode of Building Opportunities. Today I have two recruiters from SnapDragon, Jenn and Nicole, here to talk to us about ethics and professionalism in recruiting. Jenn and Nicole, how are you?
Doing
Hello.
good. Thanks for having us.
My first question to start today is how do you ensure ethical standards are upheld throughout the recruitment process?
Well, to uphold ethical standards in recruitment, we have to maintain confidentiality to ensure that the hiring decision is based solely on merit and suitability for the role.
I think a lot of that ties into our conversations too. When we take on the jobs, we're able to be a little selective on how we do things. So, having that conversation with the business and the hiring manager really helps us figure out what their culture is like and making sure that it's best fit for us as well as for our candidates. So, we're able to get a big scope of what they're looking for.
And sort of going off that too, like what role would you guys say professionalism sort of plays in upholding these ethical standards and just in recruiting in general?
I would say every role you need to have that professionalism. So it's critical to treat your clients and your candidates fairly and respectfully, and that's going to help you build credit and trust with the stakeholders to continue to work with them. So, I mean, that's why they work with us is because of our professionalism and our white glove unique touch.
Yeah, I mean, Jen hit it on the head. I mean, there's really no way around it. It's like the key part of what we're doing here is providing them something that they probably haven't had to work with before. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of scams out there currently, right? So we're up against a pretty tough recruiting market where people are just texting in and saying, "Okay, you've got the job. Start tomorrow." It's a scam, things like that. I think we have this white glove service, like Jen mentioned, that allows us to be a higher level of support and bring in that professionalism to make sure we're upholding out those ethics because you're not getting that a lot of places anymore.
When recruiting, how do you prevent bias and a sort of discrimination when you're sort of sourcing and screening candidates for certain jobs?
Just don't do it.
Okay.
Just don't do it. No, I mean, we're on the other side of the thing. So oftentimes when you're talking to a candidate, I mean, you're not even seeing them. You're seeing their resume, and that's what we're basing that off of. We're looking for somebody that has a specific skill set that matches what our client is looking for. To us, we're looking at a piece of paper, we're looking at the bullet points. Yeah, we start to learn their personality when we talk to them, but we don't, you know what I mean? We're not basing it off of gender, color, any of that. We're not doing that. We're talking to them because they have something on their resume that is outstanding and that has brought something to their field.
And as Nicole mentioned, our screenings are blind. So we have a standard set of questions that we ask every single candidate. We also implement training on diversity and inclusion and regularly review these procedures.
Have you ever had any sort of situation where you have found like a perfect candidate you feel fits a job, but then you find out they're really not exactly the person that you thought they were when you had first talked to them?
Oh yeah. Oh
Weeks
yeah.
ago, yeah.
Yep.
And
About a
it's
hundred times.
unfortunate. Yeah, it happens. And you just have to act with confidentiality
Yep.
because you are protecting your client. But you're also, want to be clear and firm with that candidate, just letting them know. We thank you for your investment of time and we wish you nothing but the best, but the client is going to go in a different direction, period.
How do you handle situations where employers or clients are requesting unethical practices if you have come across this sort of situation?
They don't sound like our clients then. I'm just kidding. uh, no, it's an awkward conversation, right? It's a realistic conversation. They're tough conversations that we have to have because we need to uphold our standards and professionalism. And a lot of times you have to have that hard conversation with them as well. I mean, this is a tough market already. Why would you want to make it even more difficult? And again, we also want to have great clients that want to be successful. So is that a secure place that we would feel good about placing a candidate? Probably not. So, we can be very selective on who we're bringing in, but we also need to be mindful of where we're putting our candidates too. So,
Yeah, and definitely firmly declining such request and really honestly reconsidering the relationship with our client. We're very fortunate because we do some deep vetting initially, and making sure that we are only working with best-in-class clients.
How do you approach candidate privacy and confidentiality in recruiting?
Oh, you want it. I see it.
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna let you take it, but hey, I'll run it with it. So I mean, we use there's a few things. I mean, we use a secure system. We make sure that our candidates' information is secure and only authorized personnel has access to that system. We keep our client's name confidential and we don't disclose that until we make alignment. And then at the end of the conversation, to make sure that the candidate is in alignment with the opportunity, we ask for their permission to submit them to XYZ client or company. So I think there's a lot of steps in there that we have to make sure are met.
It is a question you get asked a lot, especially if you have a candidate that hasn't applied directly to you, and whether we found them through other sourcing efforts. It's one of those things. So, are you just going to use my information and send it elsewhere? No, 100% not. Right away, we want to make sure there's a vested interest, and that's why we're confidential on both sides. Just as I'm not going to disclose the client right away, I'm not going to go and disclose the candidate either. I'm not going to go ahead and call their company and be like, hey, John Smith is looking for another job. So, there you go.
And and I also let the candidate know that it's our responsibility to safeguard their information and their current status. We certainly don't want to jeopardize that. I want them to feel open to have a confidential conversation with me. So if that's something that comes up, in the beginning of the conversation, I do make sure that we disclose that, we are interested in safeguarding your current position. We certainly don't want to jeopardize that.
Okay, that is all I have for today. Thank you to Jen and Nicole for sharing about ethics and professionalism in recruiting with us today.
Yeah. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.